Hi everybody, Sonia Rollins for BACC Talk. We are excited to have our president back with us. Rick Parker from the Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce has joined us for BACC Talk today. Rick, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here, Sonia. Thank you.
Listen, no truer words are said. I am happy to have you here. So, for those of you who've been watching, I'm sure you've probably heard, but for those who didn't, we'll go a little background. The Chamber of Commerce had to put their employees, Rick being one of them, on furlough when all was going south, for lack of a better term, with COVID, right around the August time frame. And the board was really happy to welcome you back, Rick. It's been about, a little over a month now, right? We started at the beginning of March?
Yes,
so,
March 1st.
Yeah, so it's really great to have him back. And, we thought that we would come out to you and kind of have this conversation and have a conversation with Rick about A, the Chamber in general, B, how it affected everybody, including ourselves, right? And just kind of talk about going forward. So let's start with the obvious. You were obviously seeing the writing on the wall just as much as the board was, as COVID was really coming into its height. So talk about the Chamber and the role it played while we were still up and running prior to the August timeline.
Yeah, if you remember when COVID first hit,
Yeah.
there was this immediate impact to all of us, whether you're a business person or just a resident. And we did our best to perform triage and help those businesses that needed the assistance through the programs of knowing what they could and couldn't do, knowing how they could get financial assistance. It really was a day-to-day survival in helping primarily the smaller businesses meander their way through the red tape and systems. And knowing all along that because the Chamber is funded through membership dues and events, both of which ended up not being a viable source of revenue anymore, we knew the writing was on the wall, but we continued to work as hard as we possibly could until the day that we decided, this isn't going to be financially we're not going to financially be able to go forward with it. Let's put it on hold and recover when the time is right. And I'm happy to say that the time was right in the March time frame. And I'm very happy to say it's nice to be back.
Oh, it's great to have you back. But the remarkable part to me was, I don't think people really realized how much you were out on the street helping the smaller companies, helping the larger companies, really navigating through some of the things that people, if you aren't involved, if you don't own a business, like you said, everybody was involved in COVID and everybody was affected. But if you're not a business owner, there was that shock and awe and fear, quite frankly, of not knowing how we were going to be able to go forward. And the Chamber really played a vital role in being able to talk to its members, to kind of play middle ground. I mean, talk about the restaurant industry, small businesses, of course, but then the restaurant industry in itself.
Yeah, if you remember, there was an immediate impact, cease and desist. Everyone,
Right.
Stay home. The business is closed.
Yeah.
The state has done a very good job since then of being out in front, saying what the schedule is going to be. But if you go back to those times, initially we were meeting with state representatives, not just our local state representatives, but members of Housing and Economic Development to try to formulate what that strategy was going to be to communicate it. So we were playing middle ground between state agencies and the businesses and providing input from the businesses to the state, but also those recommendations and mandates that the state was putting out, making sure we got those out. Today, if you look, you can go on mass.gov, reopening, and if you're a stylist or a restaurant, you click on the button and it's all there. But that had to be developed, and at that time it was really, it was a challenge to get all that information and put it into a concise document that we could advise businesses on how to proceed. Restaurants, like you said, they were hit dramatically.
Yeah.
Some of them, takeout wasn't an option back in, when it first started
Right, it wasn't
off.
what they did.
Right. And, there were shortages of takeout, of paper products, being able to get supplies of that to places, having them modify their menu to be able to take it out. I mean, there's some great restaurants here, but a prime rib does not travel well. A steak does not travel well. They had to modify the menu and really make takeout a staple of their business. It was a learning process for the restaurants themselves, and I gotta say that the local community did a super job of supporting them. I mean, they tried to find out how can we help our local businesses, and that was really where we were pushing for takeout, delivery, or curbside service. So.
Yeah.
The town helped us immensely during the process too, in being able to streamline the process for outdoor dining. one of the great things about this, there is an upside to every pandemic, I guess.
Yeah.
Al fresco dining wasn't really a thing in the
Correct.
Northeast.
Correct.
And some places have modified to be able to do it, as an emergency, and they're looking at it now. It's really something that we can do, but we do need that indoor dining to come back. And as the vaccine gets out there, people are feeling better. We're looking forward to the day when we really put this in the rearview mirror.
I agree with you. I mean, we talked about it a little bit before we went on the air. Consumer confidence is growing. And that's a baby step kind of thing, because we're still baby steps into kind of getting out of this. But, and I think this drives home to me personally when we talk about the chamber and what the chamber did. First of all, firsthand, of course, we saw what you were doing. We saw how the businesses were really appreciative of it. But when the announcement came that we had to furlough and we were quieting down, we never really shut down completely, but let's be honest, we did not do the work you were doing while you were gone. So it was really very heartening. In like you said, there's always a good to a bad, right? It was amazing to see how much the membership really realized that they relied on the chamber, the informational things, and they'd be calling me and I'd be like, ooh, I'm not sure I know that, but we punted, Rick, while you were gone. But it was kind of remarkable to see, because we really, talk about that, the role of a chamber, because what people perceive as a chamber and what is a chamber are two different things.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. People would say to me, I didn't think the town was having layoffs.
Yeah.
And the perception that's out there is that the chamber is somehow connected to the town and funded by the town. We work hand in hand with the town. And in fact, with the addition of Melissa Tentakoulis in economic development, we work closer together than ever. But there is a straight line drawn between us
Right.
that does not connect. We're funded through membership dues and through events, and that's it. And during that time, as we started to wind down, we really could not be pushing the members to pay their dues. It just wasn't right. It was a time that they needed us more than ever, and obviously the events were shut
At a
off.
complete stop.
So, for everyone to remember, and I'll look straight at the camera, we are not funded by the town. We are a nonprofit organization, and we run close to the bone with our funding. Anything that we get in, we distribute it back out. One of the greatest losses that we had during this time was that our charitable foundation came to a stop.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud, and you should be as well. In the last couple of years, we've raised several $100,000 for local charities, to scholarships, and that's really had an impact on some of these local organizations that help and mean so much to our community. So there is no connection between the town. I'm not paid by the town. Employees of the chamber are workers in a non-profit organization, and so we're looking forward to the economy getting back and being able to build the chamber back up.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the Charitable Foundation, while the chamber always has that arm, it just doesn't have the strength right now to be doing everything it was doing before. And like you said, in years to come, who knows, we'll get healthy again. But we are healthy enough to be standing, which is the good news. And I think it's really important for people to hear what you've said, which is, this is not an attachment of the town. It's something that works in conjunction with the town, but really a nonprofit. And I think sometimes people see the chamber as, don't we wish that the funding just never ended? Wouldn't that be nice, right?
That'd be great.
So, but that's not the way it works. And to the members' credit, I think when they realized the chamber needed help, they stepped up a little. Once everybody got past that initial piece, they started to pay dues again, and thank you to our membership for doing that, because that's exactly and precisely how we gained some health enough to kind of be back where we are. So that's the beautiful part of that.
Yeah, the other part, if I could just add, is people think, and we do, we advocate for the business community, because here in Burlington, the commercial sector is a huge part of what we as residents benefit from. But it's not every business is not in the chamber either. We do advocate for businesses. In fact, some of the projects we've been working on, helping get the MWRA connection quicker, resulted in partnership with the town and the chamber. We're able to get $3.5 million grant towards that. There are a lot of businesses within Burlington that benefited from that without being part of the chamber. So again,
and Rick, a lot of people who who don't realize the town budget, $3.5 million that we will not have to raise and appropriate or borrow against to be able to do that MWRA.
Yeah, that's
Continue.
huge.
Yeah.
So if there are people, again, straight in, if you work for a company locally, it doesn't have to be in Burlington, we are the Burlington area, ask them to get involved in the chamber. The fallout from the chamber reaches so far, and it reaches all of our communities. So check to see if people in your family work for a company that's in the area. Ask them why aren't they in the chamber? Because we really do have to make sure that we get a larger group of people that can help push this business community forward.
100%. All right, we covered in the first half the BACC, right? Right now we're going to do a little twist. Go to Twist Bakery and Cafe, who are on 3rd Ave, and for those of you who know me personally, you know that I begrudgingly became gluten-free a couple of years now. And honestly, it was like I was giddy at Twist Cafe. So we'll be right back after we take a look at Twist Cafe. Hi everybody, Sonia Rollins with Back Talk. I am excited to bring you a foodie segment from Twist Bakery Cafe on 3rd Ave in Burlington. We're going to go inside and check out a great location that offers so many different things for both people with allergies and, quite frankly, for people without. Come on inside and let's see what we have. All right, Catherine, if you will introduce yourself for everybody who's watching.
Sure. My name is Catherine Ernst. I am the owner of Twist Bakery Cafe along with my husband, Philip.
Okay, great. And you are located on 3rd Ave in Burlington. How long have you been here?
Well, we've been here about 1.5 years. So during COVID, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary. So yeah, we're here.
Yeah, and speaking of COVID, I mean, clearly we would normally be sitting a little closer together. We're en masse, so I'm going to keep you a little bit distant. But we've all been kind of working hard to keep restaurants going. How has it been for you in the past year? It's been a little challenging, I'm sure.
For sure been very challenging. Yeah. So we have the 2 locations. We have one here in Burlington, and then we also have one in Millis. And so we've been thankful. We've kept them both open for the majority of the time. We did have some closures during either needed times or when we had to kind of regroup and say what's next on the agenda. Generally speaking, we've stayed open the entire time. Yeah. So that's been we've been very thankful for that.
Absolutely. And speaking of thankful, I am certain people with allergies have become very thankful to fall upon Twist. I have shared with you before, I'll share with the audience too, that I haven't had gluten in a few years. And when you are a person who has a sensitivity or an allergy, it really becomes incumbent to kind of find some things that you can eat. And a lot of places have been helpful with that, but Twist is really unique that way. So talk about the fact that Twist is completely gluten-free as well as other allergens.
Really, bread was the first thing I tried, right? And so I tried that and said, I think I have something that can work on others. And I took that same flour recipe and I kind of adjusted it to some of my other family recipes, and then kind of said at some point, I think we have something we can share with other people. Let's try a business. So we did that in 2011. And so we have always lived it. It's not just, this is a business. This is just really our life. So when I cooked and baked, I always addressed everybody's allergies. It wasn't just my own. And so we started out literally not having any dairy in it because we already had that issue. We already had stuff that didn't have soy, and we didn't have any nuts. Or we had no peanuts. But we did open with as offering nuts, but we got rid of those within the first year. So we automatically just bring everything into our bakehouse in Millis that already meets all those allergens. So we still do dairy for people who want cheese on their sandwiches, but literally everything that's built on that sandwich, everything is dairy free. You really are only getting dairy on top of that. Right. So we address all top 9 allergies. Our 9th allergen is sesame.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that you think are consumer favorites at Twist.
Wow. Yeah. It's hard because it either doesn't, if it's not a favorite, it's not here. Put it that way. So
okay, that's a good way to say it, right. But the whoopie pies, for example.
Whoopie pies are a big favorite. The chocolate ones are the ones that we started with. We have a couple of other options now that we've kind of expanded that line. So we have a vegan one. They're delicious. We also have another one that we're doing right now that's funfetti. So that's a vanilla based. So we're trying to kind of
everybody
expand
loves
those.
Funfetti a little bit. Yeah.
Funfetti is a great, everybody loves it.
We pretend like it's a kid's thing, but
no,
be honest.
Not.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Sprinkles make everybody happy.
That's right.
And I will say the one thing different about our sprinkles is that, we do have a philosophy of not bringing in any artificial ingredients, including artificial coloring. So the sprinkles you see here, any of the coloring you might see on any of the ingredient, on any of the things that we make are all natural. They're all based on food. So our sprinkles don't have any kind of chemical coloring on
that's
it. It's all
unbelievable.
based on food based. So yeah.
So it's good and healthy.
Good and healthy. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
What about others? How about twisty cakes?
Twisty cakes are a customer favorite because they're based on the Hostess cupcake. We just elevated it a little bit. You know, we make our own marshmallow filling on the inside. We dip it in a really good dark chocolate ganache, and then we put that little swirl on top, signature swirl, and we'll change that up for the holidays. So boo for Halloween, or, you know, love you on Valentine's Day, mom for Mother's Day. So we try and keep those things relevant.
If you were to really talk about the vision of Twist, you told us why you brought Twist upon. You know, how do you see it evolving? Is there something else you see coming for you in Twist, or do you envision yourself? You now have 2 locations, and do you envision yourself adding anything else or seeing something? If you wanted to give somebody a message about Twist in general, what would that message be?
The message I want to get across is that it's a great, we all, the flavor first is the biggest part of what we do, and it's always giving the guest something more than they expected. You know, we want to provide a really great place for you to come and to be a neighborhood, whether we're in Millis, whether we're in Burlington, or any other place that we may grow. We want to be part of that community, because I think that we love to be able to bring joy and to be able to spread that around with our food that happens to also address the allergen stuff. I mean, I think it's great for you as a consumer. For example, let's say you're the only person in your family that has allergies. Well, you know, it's tough for you to go out to eat and enjoy that, right? So we want to bring that joy back to your family. You can all come here and enjoy it, and no one's feeling left out. You're bringing that family group back together again over a meal, which, you know, how wonderful is that?
It's
so
pretty wonderful.
That's what we want to be able to provide.
Right.
It's
It
really
takes
just,
the pressure off.
Oh, it takes the pressure off.
Absolutely, because
yes.
you can come in and just know what you're ordering, which
Right,
is
and you
great.
don't even have to worry.
Yeah. So, Catherine, do you find that there are some people who come in here that don't even realize that this is a boutique bakery that offers specific needs for allergens? Like, is the average consumer who has no allergies, do you find they come in here as often?
Yes, I do find they come in here as often. They like our fresh, house-made products. They really like it. It happens to be allergen friendly. That's really the answer. It is a boutique bakery that happens to be allergen friendly, but for anyone who loves to come into a bakery, anybody who loves really good fresh food, that's what we provide, and it just happens to be allergen friendly.
Correct, because it's not something that, it's not like labeled like that outside. So really people are coming in because honestly, it looks fantastic, and then it tastes fantastic too.
I mean, Rick, honestly, I could eat in there all day. I mean, actually, I do when they're open, but their food is out of this world.
Yeah, and I'll just mention, I'm not gluten-free. I had no idea that that it was gluten-free. The food is phenomenal.
Right. And for those of you who have allergies, like, I'm not kidding. You go in there and you think, I can't possibly be able to eat here, but you can. So thank you to Twist Cafe for having us in there. And, we're looking forward to bringing you more foodie segments. It's nice to be back out on the street with that as well. All right, we covered some history on it. We covered the tough parts of the chamber in the past 6 months, really. A year, really, but 6 months of that quiet time, right? And now let's talk about going forward. You know, as the president, first, let's talk about what's the challenge, Rick? What's the challenge coming into, the post-COVID or almost post-COVID stage?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is, and it's an overused term, people, we're all in this together,
Yeah.
Right now, we rely on each other to come out of this, being respectful of the consumer and our employees, making sure that we're taking all of the safety and hygiene protocols. And we've got a responsibility on us in the suburbs, because the recovery is going to happen in the suburbs first. People are a little less likely or more cautious about getting on public transportation,
Yes.
Getting back into a long commute into the city, and not having so much control over pedestrian traffic and things like that. So we know it's going to happen in the suburbs. Now we know that Burlington, because of all the amenities that we have here, we rely on that daytime population to feed both the residential community through offset of taxes, but also the small businesses.
Right.
I mean, when people come to the rescue, they always look at the local business, that local mom and pop, which is really close to my heart. I mean, I had a business here.
Yes.
But you need that daytime population. You need the larger companies to come back to work. So we're advocating for, and especially as the vaccine is much more widely distributed. And we're in the time right now where it's picking up steam. People want to be outside. People want to get back to work. We did see initially working from home had its advantages. You know, there were some hiccups in the beginning with technology, but to truth be told, it's kind of passed its course. People do want to get back into the office. Maybe not 5 days a week. You know, maybe a shorter period of time, a couple from home. But the collaborative efforts and the brainstorming and the innovation that comes through normal conversation, and that's not only in technology, but it's also in philanthropy.
Yeah.
When someone mentions, you know, I knew somebody that was involved with Burlington Women Aid or Help Us, and they tell that story, it's to an audience of people that then start adopting that charity or cause, and really helps to pull us out of this. We've got everything lined up. You know, the restaurants are certainly set up for bringing guests back, to much to their credit, leading the way with hygiene protocols, because they understand you get one shot to come out of this, and we don't want to go backwards. So we've seen that the office parks, the protocols that are being done there, the cleanliness that are being done there, you know, marking, setting up barriers when it's necessary, common spaces. I think we're ready. I think we're ready to go out there, but it's really up to people's own perception of how comfortable they are. We just want to make sure that the employees and the customers feel comfortable coming to the greater Burlington area, and especially here in town where it has such an impact on us.
It does have an impact on us. You're 100% right in every piece, right? Like you said, in the residential component, in the retail component, quite frankly, the hotel still, you know, the whole hotel industry took a hit. You know, people forget about the hotel industry, but, you know, places like the Marriott, they took a hit. You know?
And they've been such great partners. In fact, we're working on something with them now in the recreation department. They miss that connection to community. We have some great partners, and some people just look at the logos and don't see. Listen, the people working in there, a lot of them are from Burlington or right from the area. They care about the community. I look forward to the day when we're all back out, you know, in what we call the new normal, knowing what we missed, what we took for granted. And if you look at an area that depends on, you know, the three hardest hit areas, restaurants, hospitality, and retail, you might as well put the name Burlington on that, because that's a big part of what we are.
100%. What do you think we learned from this? I mean, a ton of stuff, first of all, stuff we can't sometimes say on TV. But what do you also think we learned about this? Like, coming out of this, what was the lesson for the chamber, maybe, that, you know, or the lesson personally, if you want to share that?
Well, I think it's personal. I think it's personal for everyone.
Yeah.
The thing that I've learned, don't take things for granted.
Yeah.
The ability to go out with a friend and go to a restaurant, or the ability to be with your family outside. I mean, certainly I think people got better connected to their family, for good or bad. I mean, in the beginning, I mean, we know each other. We're both workers. I did get to spend more time with my family, and I won't take that for granted anymore. Yeah. So I think the things that we took for granted, being able to go, you know, to the mall and basically shop and get anything you possibly could want that's available in retail right here in town. Being able to go out to eat, no matter what you wanted to eat, right here in town. So I think people have missed those little things, and, you know, I think we took them for granted. So hopefully coming out of this, people are just more thankful for what we have here. I can't be happier to live in this community and be employed in this community, because it truly does. It has the best of all of it.
It really does have the best of all of it. And, you know, I'm going to piggyback on you and say, not only did we take things for granted and now we're more grateful for them. I think we are, by the way. I agree with you on that. But I also think we also took for granted how much the business community gave back, right? And if I could say anything to, and I do say this a lot to people, you know, please remember how many times these people donated and gave and backed all of our difference. And I am as guilty as anybody else for looking to the business community when my son needs whatever on the back of his shirt when they were little, and, you know, football banquets and everything else. And the gratitude was there, but you don't really realize the gratitude until now they're hurting. They're not able to do it really, or they're trying to do the best they can. And it's our turn now, Rick. I think it's our turn to be going out and helping them. You know, the reverse.
This was a unique challenge that everyone was affected by this.
100%.
You know, in the beginning, you remember, you worried about your family, you worried about older people in your family, your neighbors. Everyone had their own personal struggles. And it was very difficult for people to look beyond their own personal struggles. And I don't blame them, because people were dealing with some real tough issues that they never dealt with. But as we come out of this, I want them to start looking beyond their own personal issues and look to those businesses that barely made it through. And honestly, we don't know if they'll continue to survive. Our goal was to get them through to the opening.
Yeah.
The opening is here, and it's going to be coming. Now's the time when, if people could look past their own challenges and get out there and support local business. And again, it's not always just the small ones. The big ones, they employ our residents.
Right.
They pay taxes.
Right.
If it's here, let's try to support it more than ever. And we could do a whole show on what happens when you buy through Amazon, because I know everyone's, I see the boxes on everyone's steps.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, Amazon didn't sponsor a baseball team.
Yeah.
They didn't give to the charitable foundation. So
Yeah.
there is a cost, and I know it's really easy, but please look past that now and try to make an additional effort to support local business.
It makes such an impact. It really does. All right, if you were to give everybody a message on the Chamber, where are we going?
Well, the Chamber's back, and I think we've learned a lot in the last year. What's important to us,
Right.
how we can make the biggest impact. We're going to really be pulling hard for our community. This is, we're one of the ones that's going to emerge first, and it's important for us to not only do it for our own community, but for those behind us that are going to be, secondary markets. We've got to do it the right way in order for people to feel, yeah, it is okay to go back out. And I say the biggest message is, please get vaccinated. It's important not only to yourself, but to the future of our community.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be looking forward to the times when we can eventually have an event that's really an event again. I mean, all due respect to the virtual events and all due respect to Zoom, but whew, it's starting to wear on that very last little edge that we have,
Yeah, I think when we get back into person, that's when the feeling of being part of a community comes back.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel that on a Zoom, but know that even though we can't shake your hand today or be with you, it's coming soon. So please, please try to support your local community.
Absolutely. Remind everybody of the website, Rick. BACC.
BACCMA.org.
MA.org. I would encourage you all to take a look at it. Always kind of revert back to it. There's great information there always. Rick Parker is back in the office. We're happy to have him. Debbie Patterson. We can't forget to acknowledge Debbie, who has stayed with us part-time on and off, and she helped us kind of live through the ugly. I call it the ugly, right? And Debbie and I used to do small jigs when just a little check would come in, so we were grateful for that. We should also, and not forget to mention Katie O'Connor, who is no longer with the Chamber, was furloughed, but has just recently gotten a new job. And so Katie O'Connor, thank you for everything she did.
It was awesome.
She really was. I'm a little teary about her.
The other thing is, if people could just follow our Facebook feed as well, and our social media feeds. A lot of information is coming out through there.
Absolutely.
And it helps to keep people in the know. We are a little bit short-staffed right now, but I think we're going to come back better than ever.
Yeah, and the message is, if you're a resident in town, if you're a business owner in town, please support the Chamber, please shop local, please, and shop local means big or small. Take the time to go into the mall. We know it's easy to mail and order this stuff, but, give them a chance and get back in there. It's really great to have you back in the room, Rick.
Thank you, Sonia. It's great to be back.
Listen, kindness matters, folks. Be grateful, and I hope everything continues to go well for us as we, is it an emerging, as we emerge?
As we head
toward
to the light.
As we head toward the light. Thanks for joining us, Rick. Rick Parker, President, Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today for Back Talk. I'm Sonia Rollins.